Following a dominating 48-14 victory over the Villanova Wildcats, the Knights set their sights towards Manhattan to squeeze out a victory over the former Big XII champions, the Kansas State Wildcats. Suffering a hard-fought 30-27 loss of their own, the Wildcats are looking for a nice comeback win against a new Big XII team to start out conference play undefeated. And what better place than their home stadium in the Little Apple? How will UCF shape up for Big XII play? Will the Knights be able to contain quarterback Will Howard? My name is AC Flo, and this is your Week 4 Kansas State preview for your UCF Knights.
This season, a new era dawns upon us. From humble beginnings to national prominence.
Unbeaten, 13-0.
Our history is big, but our future is bigger.
If you're a UCF Knight, you've got to subscribe to this channel. I will be posting weekly game previews as the season goes on, and you don't want to miss out on any of the action. UCF and Kansas State have only met once before, in the 2010 regular season. After a nasty-looking storm threatened to end the game early in the first quarter, the Wildcats pulled away with the 17-13 win against the Knights. UCF played a very disappointing game, throwing away the chance to upset KSU after holding the lead for the entirety of the game in the last 24 seconds. History will ironically replicate this game, now seeing the two meet up as conference partners. The Knights will travel to Manhattan, Kansas, in their fourth game of the year, the exact slot they played 13 years ago. With the win over Villanova, UCF has made their first 3-0 start since 2019. Timmy McClain made his first starting role with the Knights last week after JRP suffered a leg injury against Boise State that has him out for the foreseeable future. Without Plumlee, the Knights are relying on this sophomore quarterback to fill the role that our QB1 made, and by all accounts, McClain mostly answered. Throwing for 321 yards and 2 touchdowns, McClain balled out against the Wildcat defense. His most notable passing plays of the game were a 73-yard pass to Kobe Hudson and a 25-yard touchdown pass to Javon Baker. Evidently more of a pass-oriented quarterback than Plumlee, McClain portrays Coach Hinshaw's efforts to throw more deep passes and give the ball more airtime. I said it last week, and I'll say it again, our defense is amazing this year, and might even be better than our offense. Let's just look at the numbers. In the first half alone, the Villanova offense only made 38 yards off 8 drives. To top that off, 6 of the 8 drives didn't even break 10 yards. Defensive Player of the Week goes to Nikai Martinez, who caused an interception for 42 yards that brought the Knights to the Villanova 2-yard line. UCF posted 600 yards this game, marking the third game in a row where the Knights have made more than 500 offensive yards. The Knights continue to dominate the offensive stats, retaining their spot as the number 1 offense in the nation, with RJ Harvey and Kobe Hudson playing at their A game last week. While UCF did play phenomenally, there were some concerns from the receiving and offensive teams. There were at least 3 plays that should have been touchdowns or at least gotten within the 5-yard line that were voided due to UCF errors. The Knights need to fix these errors, as they could prove even more costly when they face Big 12 competition. Kansas State played a hard-fought game against the Missouri Tigers that unfortunately ended after a walk-off 61-yard field goal was made by Mizzu, allowing the Tigers to squeak out the W. I have a few positives and negatives from K-State that could possibly lay out how our game against the Wildcats could go. Despite the K-State loss, this was a truly well-fought game with there were explosive sides on each side of the ball. Will Howard threw for 270 yards for 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, demonstrating the very skilled quarterback handling that the champion is known for. There is also a lot of hype surrounding Avery Johnson, the QB2 for Kansas State. He might start as the QB1 for Kansas State, and we'll get to that in a second. KSU's defense didn't really play well, giving up 430 yards, 356 of which were in the air. Will Howard was also injured and may not be able to play this week, paving way for the unknown Avery Johnson to be QB2. The ground attack was also not really utilized well, and there was a lot of miscommunication within the team. The last of the issues was in the offensive line, oftentimes folding and allowing pressure on Will Howard to get through. Many sources are predicting that Kansas State could make a repeat run for the Big 12 championship this year. They are ranked 76th in returning production and are bringing back 73% of their offensive starters, including quarterback Will Howard, who led the Wildcats to win the Big 12 championship last year. They were ranked 16th in the preseason AP polls and found themselves only behind Texas in the rankings. Now unranked, the Wildcats are itching for a win after a heartbreaking loss at Missouri. When you think of Kansas State football, the first player that should come to mind is Will Howard. This quarterback was a beast last year, carrying Kansas State when they needed him after their QB1 went down. In his end-of-the-year leg, he helped the Wildcats go 5-2 in the back half of the season, with losses only to TCU and Alabama. However, during the Missouri game, Howard was showing signs of injury, limping during the game's final moments. Depending on if Will Howard is in this week, we may see Kansas State's QB2, Avery Johnson, who is a true freshman coming into this season. We've only seen a limited example of Johnson, who only played in the last legs of Missouri and SEMO games, so we honestly have no idea who we're dealing with if he were to go into play. Outside of the QBs, the offense has some explosive players on the ground, with running back DJ Giddens and Trayshawn Ward each running for more than 160 yards. The K-State offense also has a four-headed receiving attack, with Phillip Brooks, Ben Sinnott, RJ Garcia II, and Jaden Jackson all breaking 160 receiving yards. UCF also needs to be wary of this offensive line, as all 5 starters are returning from the 2022 season. The K-State defense has also proven to be a wall in the short run. However, they ironically, like UCF, are weak in the secondary. Notable names are Khaled Duke and Nate Matlock, who have caused a total of 5 sacks. I expect another shootout if Howard is healthy. I understand it was just an FCS school, but McClain still threw for more than 300 yards last game and has showed a more pass-heavy offense than JRP. If Howard isn't healthy and Johnson were to play, then I honestly have no clue how K-State will play. I'm going to go off a whim and say Kansas State will show a more balanced pass rush offense. If UCF has a chance of winning, they need to take advantage of the lackluster secondary the Wildcats have and keep throwing deep balls. If UCF can maintain the defensive dominance they've shown in the last 3 games, then I know they have a chance at containing the K-State offense. It may be even better if Avery Johnson were to play. However, succeeding in these goals is no easy task, since Will Howard isn't the only factor that makes Kansas State so great. I expect and hope that this game will be a great one, because no matter who wins, I want UCF to prove that they deserve to be in Power 5 play, and I would also like for Kansas State to continue being successful, because let's be honest, do we really want Texas or Oklahoma to dominate the Big 12? Thank you for watching this video, have a great day, go Knights and charge on!